What's up, nerds? How's it going? Today we're reacting to a video by Shoe on Head. Now, if you don't know who Shoe is, she is a left-leaning political content creator. I first ran into her around 2016 and 2017, back when YouTube politics was basically the Hunger Games and the algorithm was running on pure chaos. I check in on her stuff from time to time, and I figured, why not react to a video like this, since apparently reacting to what VTubers do when they want attention. So, here we are. And I'm going to be upfront. I agree with the core point of her video. Okay? And not because I'm trying to join her sports team, mind you. I don't think I could ever do that. But because I think she's diagnosing something real about how online politics works. For context, I'm more of a centrist than that leans a bit to the right. Actually, the last time I took my political compass, I'm leaning a little bit more and more to the right. I'm kind of surprised myself, to be completely honest, but I guess that's what happens when you start to reach the age where your back and your shoulders and your knees are starting to hurt constantly. Adulthood. But if you click this hoping I'm going to be your ideological mascot, I'm not. I'm here to talk about behavior and incentives and why the internet treats silence like a crime. Now, I'm expecting this video to go on for quite a bit of time, and I don't want to subject my audience to a 1-hour video, so I'm going to break this down into possibly 2 parts. Alright, and so here we go. Let's go ahead and jump into Shoe on Head's video.
Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of What the Hell is Going On with your host, Ugly Belle Delphine. Now before you ask, yes, there is an Epstein Files video coming out. I feel like everyone has like streamer brain nowadays, and like every fucking video has to be breaking news in order to get the most views. But I am taking my time with it. I'm sure you
I actually kind of agree about this. This is what I've been seeing a lot in terms of like content creators. When as soon as something just hits the internet, immediately you have to have a well-informed opinion ready to go. Alright? And this streamer brain, as she calls it, it's just everything has to be about breaking news and everything has to be immediate. And if you don't have that fully formed opinion, then you're already behind. And it's I'm sure it's exhausting for these political content creators. I feel sorry for them.
understand there is a lot happening.
You know, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh no. Oh, she said it. She said the thing. Oh no, she wants to go there. Yeah, that's right. Speak the truth. That's right. You speak.
Your country, sir. Anyway, let's just forget about these satanic billionaire pedophiles running the world, and let's talk about some internet drama, shall we? Because that is what's really important. For a little over a decade now, the most inane things can get you called a racist or a Nazi on the internet, to the point where these words hold little to no meaning anymore. It's so bad that when someone is called a racist or a Nazi online, I'm immediately like, oh, what funny joke did they tell? But ladies and gentlemen, we have officially come to the point where not saying anything also makes you a racist Nazi. For the few of you watching this channel who are employed, there's a very popular Twitch streamer named Emiru. She's a
Before we jump into Emiru, I'll be real. I did consider doing the reaction stuff off the cuff, especially this video. No script, just emotion, going with it. But hot take culture turns people into parrots, and it's something that I cannot abide by. I don't like being a parrot. Speed doesn't necessarily equal insight. It's, so I'm doing this a little bit more deliberately. I'm still reacting, but I'm reacting with a point. If I agree, I'll tell you why, and if I disagree, I'll tell you why as well. Not unbiased, just honest. And I've already seen the video, and I already have, some predetermined thoughts here. But if you haven't seen the video, the link will be in the description again, so you can check it out for yourself. And I'll probably put that. I'll try to remember to put the timestamps on there as well.
cosplayer and just kind of a fun, chill, normie video game streamer. Well, the other day, someone in her chat asked her opinion about ice, and this is what she had to say.
Like, there's a certain extent where I'm like, okay, I get people wanting big content creators to, like, say their opinions on, like, important topics. I get that, right? But it's like, if you need a streamer who doesn't even know anything about politics to tell you about politics, you probably just need to get off the internet.
In a world where it seems like every single celebrity is just screaming their political takes completely unprompted, this was a refreshing thing to hear. Seems like a pretty sane, rational, inoffensive thing to say, right? Wrong. This short little clip where she ironically tried to avoid controversy ended up being one of the most controversial dramas this year. I feel like
So, alright, here's the thing. I agree with Emiru 100% here. Why are you going to video game streamers and demanding their political position like it's a press conference? If she wanted to be a political streamer, she would be one. She would have built her platform around that. But she hasn't. And I'll be upfront, I've never watched her streams. It's not my kind of content to consume, but that's actually strengthens the point. Even as someone who doesn't follow her, I can recognize that she's not presenting herself as a political authority. What really happening here is validation seeking. People want the content creators that they admire to echo or parrot their beliefs. I see this with my students all the time. They'll ask me for my take, not because they want to debate, but because they want reinforcement. If someone they respect agrees with them, it feels like confirmation that they're on the right side of history. God, I can't believe I said that statement. I feel so dirty. But there's a difference between civic engagement and emotional validation. You should not be outsourcing your political thinking to entertainers. If someone builds their platform around politics, fine. Go engage over there. But demanding that every streamer passes a moral loyalty test, that's not discourse. That's performance culture. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. A lot of people don't actually want deliberation. They want affirmation. It's not democracy. It's a full-blown script is what they want.
2 months, don't you? Every day there's like a breaking story of the most insane shit you've ever heard in your life. And everyone is expected to have a fully formed opinion on every single breaking story. There's pressure to react, to pick a side, to condemn, to defend. The reality is, when a story first breaks, we're usually not seeing the full picture. And that's why for years now, I have been using today's sponsor, Ground.
That's right, Grounded News. They don't sponsor me. But guess what? I do have a partner. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. While she's running her sponsor, this is going to be my cue to run my partner. I am partnered with Dubby Energy. It's a clean energy drink, 0 sugar, no artificial dyes, none of that weird filler stuff. It's what I use on late night streams when I need to focus without feeling like I just drank a battery. My code is Nerding Around. It's all one word. And this will get you 10% off your purchase. And yes, full transparency, every time you use the code, I get credit for it, which is honestly really cool and helps support the channel. The flavor I've been using lately is Big Energy Tears, which feels very on theme for today's video. Sadly discontinued. Well, actually not really discontinued. It's just off the shelves. It's going to be maybe a few months before it goes on to the back on the shelves. So I'm going to be moving on to another flavor coming up real soon. I've been eyeballing the honeydew and white grape or the blood orange. Or I might just get both. Who knows? Link will be in the description if you're interested. No pressure whatsoever. All right, back to the internet demanding people to say the line.
In this video, we are going to talk about the drama surrounding Emiru, the people trying to cancel her, the mistake the left is making by embracing cancel culture again. We're gonna read some insane, hilarious tweets, of course, and then we will talk about my personal experience with these people.
What do you mean, you people?
And what do I mean by these people? I mean the cult of the Crybullies.
Spot on.
I'm sorry if I sound even more like a prepubescent boy in this video. I am a little bit sick, but I am here, slaving over a hot laptop. For you. If you guys saw my last video, you know I am quite critical of ICE. I don't think we should abolish them, of course, but I think it is good and healthy to criticize your government. I am a political culture war commentator. I talk about political topics often. People come to me to hear my political opinions. But not everybody.
Okay, she laughs. She laughs at that, which is kind of funny because she doesn't take herself seriously, which is great. And we shouldn't, especially in this particular sphere. I've noticed that the people who take themselves too seriously feel like they are the political authority. And the people who don't take themselves seriously have generally a pretty decent take. And they're people that I would be willing to sit down, have a beer with and have a conversation with. But the ones that come off as if they are the authority, I don't want nothing to do with them. But here's the thing. I really respect Shu on her point here. She's being extremely practical. Now, I've seen a bunch of her videos where, I've sat there like, I don't agree with you. Maybe I've left a comment or two. I don't remember. But this is a fair take, in my opinion. Criticizing your government, that's not just allowed. That's healthy. It's foundational. That's part of civic life. But here's the line that gets crossed. Criticizing your government is one thing. Demanding that everyone else perform that criticism on command is another. All right, and when she mentions the crybullies, this is why that term actually matters, because what a crybully is, it's someone who uses the language of victimhood and moral urgency to justify intimidation and coercion. They position themselves as morally righteous while aggressively trying to control or shame others into compliance. It's actually pretty crazy. And people fall for it. It's really weird.
Wants to be a political YouTuber or streamer. And not everybody wants to listen to a political YouTuber or streamer. Sometimes we just want to have fun and talk about other things. There are lots of other things to talk about. Sometimes we want to look at funny memes or watch funny videos without having politics shoved down our throat. So a lot of people thought it was really refreshing when a cosplay streamer was basically like, I don't want to talk about politics. Why are you coming to me for politics? It was a perfectly sane...
And it is. It's a perfectly sane take. That's different from disagreement, though. That's different from debate. That's social pressure is what's going on, dressed up as virtue. Emiru's take was sane. She didn't say, I love ICE. She didn't endorse anything. She didn't endorse anything. She said, I don't want to talk about politics. And honestly, that I can respect that. I grew up, content-wise in the culture war era of YouTube, where you had people like Sargon of Akkad, who's still around, the Amazing Atheist. I can't think of any other names because most of these people have disappeared off the face of the earth. Shu on Head, Chris Raygut. A lot of these guys who were political commentators or culture war commentators in their own right, even though they didn't see themselves that way, they talked about these things, these topics that became radioactive overnight. And I always respected those creators who said, hey, I don't know too much about this, but I'm going to say this. Or, this is my take on it, even though I don't know that much about it. Or hot take, I don't know anything about it, and I'm not going to comment on it. Shocking. And, to Shu's point, sometimes you just need a break. I mean, man, it's okay to disconnect. It's okay not to turn every hobby into a battleground. It's okay to just grill. Silence is not endorsement. Sometimes it's just boundaries. And this is important. If you're constantly online, constantly outraged, constantly fighting, eventually you burn out. And when you burn out, you're no good to anyone. You're not good to your cause, to your community, not even to yourself. And let me tell you, there was a point where I had to step away from political YouTube because my brain was going crazy. Like I felt like my brain was getting smoother just by staying there. So a disconnect a disconnect is definitely needed sometimes. It's okay to retreat to a hobby, and hopefully that hobby hasn't been overrun by people. But anyways.
Rational opinion, so of course like half the internet had a problem with it. It's just not that hard to say f ice. It's really not that hard to say f ice, to be honest. Is it so hard to just say f ice? It's really not hard to say f ice. Jesus Christ, how hard is it to just say f ice? How hard is it to just say f ice? How hard is it to just say f ice and move on? Oh my god. Just say f ice. It's not hard. Is it so hard to just say the line? Say the line. Say it! Jesus Christ, like at this point, even if Emiru did want to like abolish ice, even if she really did think f ice, she shouldn't say it. Like I wouldn't say it at this point because this is just like, this is creepy. This is like a horde of zombies chasing after you. Hey, it's actually super easy to stream and have opinions. I'll show you. F ice, f Donald Trump and everyone in his administration, f Elon Musk, free Palestine, US is on stolen land built by stolen people, Luigi did nothing wrong, abortion is healthcare, leave trans people the f alone. These people literally just speak in bumper stickers, dude. Just like copy pasting the internet leftist starter pack. What the hell am I looking at?
This whole section of the video boils down to one thing, and that is say the line. Say it. Say it. It's not about discussion. It's not about persuasion. It's about ritual. You repeat the mantra, you post the slogan, you signal compliance, and if you don't, that's when the pressure starts. This is what I mean when I say people don't want deliberation, they want affirmation. They want the bumper sticker. They want the approved phrase. They want the loyalty check. And here's a comparison from my own personal world. All right, as a teacher in my state, and I think most states too, we get observed based off of our classroom performance. Now, what does that actually look like? Well, it's different everywhere you go, but it boils down to one thing: performative actions. Did we say the line? Did we refer back to the learning objective? Did we circle the room? Did we talk to every student? Did we say a phrase that's catchy in education right then and there? It's very much performative. And that is exactly what is being looked at in terms of observations. But the moment you deviate from the script, from what is supposed to be technically the norm of what a fake classroom is supposed to look like, are you okay? Is there something wrong? How come you can't do this? We need to coach you on how to say this. It's pretty much just re-education at this point. Because they want you to be able to say the line verbatim constantly. You know, and it's very hard to believe that education has turned into that. But also, I mean, if you look outside of education, I'm kind of not surprised.
I hate the Reddit ass. Hey, it's super easy. It's crazy like a...
And here's the uncomfortable part. Once you comply, once you set the precedent, the next demand gets easier and easier. So yeah, at this point, if a crowd is chanting at you to say something on command, even if you privately agree with it, I understand why someone would refuse on principle. Because the moment it becomes mandatory, it stops being authentic. Alright, and this next part is not kind of important. Damn it, I messed up. Alright, this next part is important, and I want to be very careful here. I'm not going to make this personal. I'm going to focus strictly on the argument. The terms used here, the modern Gestapo framing, that's where the rhetoric starts to break down. If someone says, I don't want to comment on this, and the response is, you're basically the Gestapo, that's not proportional. That's escalation. Instead of trying to, leave the person alone, you're trying to push them into a position to where they're going to react. And someone who studies and teaches history, I'm very careful about the language. Because when every disagreement becomes Nazi, Hitler, fascist, or Gestapo, those words start to lose meaning. And when those words lose meaning, you lose your ability to identify real threats. There's a difference between someone endorsing authoritarianism and someone declining to give their take on Twitch. Those are just not the same category, obviously. This silence is compliance framing only works if silence is treated as endorsement. But in this case, silence was just a boundary. Emiru didn't defend ICE. She didn't praise Trump. She didn't endorse anything. She just refused to perform. And that's the key difference. When we turn every non-participant into the enemy, we cheapen the vocabulary we actually need for real extremism. I've been called Nazi more times than I can count online. Not because I endorsed anything extreme, but because I disagreed with the framing. That's not accountability. That's rhetorical inflation. And when everything is Hitler, nothing is. There's a subset of permanently online outrage culture. There's a subset of permanently online outrage culture that thrives on escalation. The more dramatic the label, the more engagement it generates. But engagement is not truth. And volume is not moral authority.
Doing. Her audience likes what she's doing. There are plenty of other channels that will regurgitate your political takes back to you. Just turn on the TV. Turn on CNN. Most normal people, are sick and tired of celebrities just like spewing their political takes completely unprompted. I don't care what Glub Shitto thinks of politics,
of all the people,
okay? Why does Glub Shitto...
You want to talk about... you want to talk about the worst of the worst? Glub Shitto. Absolutely. Horrible person. Well, not really a person. Slug of some kind. But, yeah, still horrible.
Have to get on stage and start talking about how we're on stolen land or some shit. Why do you need your political opinions thrown up into your mouth by a celebrity like a fucking baby bird? Like, do you really want Sydney Sweeney throwing up in your mouth? Don't
Hold on. Hold on, chat. Hear me out. But instead of her throwing up, she's actually chewing the food for us. Ah. Yeah. Oh my god. This is what staying online does to you. It turns you into some type of weird degenerate.
Don't answer that. Please don't answer that. She's right when she says most streamers are not
Denims. I forgot this part of the video. This is going to be rough for me to watch it again.
To talk about politics. Okay, here's the thing, dude. You actually don't have to be qualified to talk about politics to say F ICE. It's not that hard of a concept.
You actually don't have to know what you're talking about in order to just say the line. What? You should look into a topic, do your own research, come to your own conclusion, and form your own opinion on the topic. You should not just blindly, mindlessly say the line.
You know who doesn't do political content? Cutie Cinderella. Cutie Cinderella literally never does political content. And even she's capable of saying F ICE. What about Cinna? You don't have to be a political creator to recognize that it's not hard to say ICE.
Cinna. Yes, that's right. Let's we'll let Denims finish talking here.
You don't have to be a political content creator to say the line. All your other friends are saying the line, Emiru. Why aren't you saying the line, Emiru?
ICE. Okay, but unironically though, F them. Straight up. Hey, F them. Yeah, it's them, don't care, and if you don't like that I say that, it's you too. You know what I mean? It's really that easy for me, I'm telling you right now.
That's Cinna. I didn't know who she was either until I watched the video. That's like her roommate, her best friend, her BFF. You know, I don't know. I don't know if it's a ride or die kind of situation, but I'll tell you what though. Yeah, her best friend was not there for her. She wasn't, and you know what? Let's well, I'm going to show you what I mean.
Roommate saying the line. Aren't we all proud of her? By the way, where are all her friends during all of this? Where are all her morally righteous, good guy, big streamer friends while this is all going down? While she's being dragged by half of the internet for doing absolutely nothing wrong. This girl who literally just came out of an allegedly abusive relationship. This girl who literally just got assaulted, grabbed by some freak at a convention.
And that happened live, mind you. While I wasn't watching TwitchCon, I saw the highlights of TwitchCon, and everybody was talking about how this happened live on stream at TwitchCon. That some dude just like assaulted her. And it is absolutely wild that nobody at Twitch did nothing. Like absolutely nothing. The worst thing that Twitch did was throw out Emiru's bodyguard. I found out, which is crazy. I swear, the more Twitch continues to exist as a platform, the further and further we stray from God's light. I'm just saying.
Now this girl is going through all of this. I guess it's fine to be silent when your friend is getting dragged by half of the internet, but don't you dare stay silent about current thing. I don't even know this woman, and I am sticking my neck out for her because it pisses me off seeing this kind of shit happen to people who absolutely do not deserve it.
Okay.
If you're above the age of 18...
I don't even want to look at her face right now. Let me show you something. Let me show you guys something here. All right. Let's check out Cinna. All right. This popped up on my Twitter feed a little while ago. All right. I want to show you. I want to show you something here that Cinna has to say about her recent F Ice take. Right.
Bro, by the way, I go on Twitter yesterday. Sidebar. I go on Twitter yesterday. You know, I said the thing.
She said the thing that she said. I don't care. She's going to then continue to say that it was a nothing burger. These people are so disingenuous. It's absolutely crazy. They're just saying the thing so they can continue to have an audience. My.
About whatever I said. I said like fuck ice or whatever. Thought it was like such a lukewarm take, like nothing burger of a take, because like anybody can say that. Cause it's
see, this came out a little bit after her take, so I'm assuming that she was starting to catch backlash because I think she was starting to. This is just my anecdotal response here. Is that she found out that half of the country, probably half of her audience, probably supports ICE, and you know, but then also too. Asmongold kind of made a very good assumption here based off of her take. She probably lives in a gated community, and she probably doesn't even see any of the nonsense that people see on a regular basis. And so she's literally giving you her opinion in her ivory tower. And she's literally saying that it means absolutely nothing. It's nothing. It's a whatever burger. Or nothing burger, excuse me.
Bro, that shit banged on Twitter, got like 30K likes. Listen, this is like maybe a crazy take.
Maybe it's a crazy take.
Maybe a crazy take. You, as a viewer, I hope you guys learned this, and maybe I don't need to say this, but it's true though. You don't, as a viewer, need to idolize things that content creators say all the time. Like,
you don't have to idolize when it's time for me to say the thing. You don't have to idolize that. All right? Form your own opinion is what she's saying. All right? Form your own opinion. Don't idolize what I'm saying. All right? Because here's the thing. Let me go ahead and scoot up just a little bit here.
I know, granted, I know it's probably easier for me to just not bring it up. Somebody's gonna be like, oh my god, Cinna, da, da, da. But like, you know what I mean? I feel like, I hope that you guys all, I don't ever try to force my opinions on other people or anything like that, but I also don't want anybody to ever like overly idolize my opinions, because I'm, at the end of the day,
you hear that?
Streamer. At
the end of the day, she is just a streamer.
No,
a dumbass.
I'm a dumbass.
Her words, not mine. I'm just repeating them. All right. And I agree. At the end of the day, she is a streamer. All right. Nobody should be idolizing her takes whatsoever. And the fact that she literally sat and did nothing, because I checked Cinna's Twitter. Not that I stalked it. Again, I don't watch these people. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Didn't come to Emiru's defense. Didn't come to Emiru's defense. Didn't do anything. Just there. You know. And I want to be clear. I want to be clear about something. Again, I don't know who Emiru is. I don't know her personally. I don't watch her streams. And I am not trying to white knight her. Okay? I'm not trying to be a white knight here. I'm sure she has plenty of people in her own streams that will be more than willing to be her white knight. I'm not. From what I understand, she's a cosplay, gaming, meme reacting streamer. She is a normie outside of the political sphere. Just like I would be a normie outside of the cosplay sphere. She is not someone who's steeped in the political drama. And that's the point. She's not in the arena. So when someone like this gets dogpiled for refusing to perform a political slogan, that's not accountability. That's enforcement. And what really frustrates me isn't the disagreement, it's the hypocrisy. Silence is not violence. Unless your friend's being harassed. Or moral urgency, unless it's inconvenient. If you are loud when someone won't say the line, but quiet when someone is actually harmed, that already tells me that this isn't about justice. It's about control. It is about performance. That's what it is. All right? And it's making sure that everyone signals loyalty to the common thing. And that pattern, that is what I am angry about. Because once the standard becomes recite the approved phrase or be socially punished, it stops being about issues and it becomes about dominance. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
You should care about politics in your fucking country. You don't get to be like, well, I don't agree with this whole taxes thing, so I'm just not gonna pay for it. You can't say like, well, I'm just not gonna care about all this politics stuff.
When someone doesn't have an opinion on a political topic,
I'm trying really
people
hard
like you
not to. I'm trying really hard here. Because that is such. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God.
Might get a little mad. When someone doesn't pay their taxes, the government comes and arrests them. Okay, so that's the difference between those things.
There's this weird idea in America especially, where like you can just be an adult and be like, oh, I don't care about politics. What?
Many people, most people, do not care that much about politics. I know to you and me that's like mind-blowing, that's like unfathomable, because our whole life is politics, our job is politics, like I get it. But most people's lives do not revolve around politics. They do other things other than fight with strangers online. Crazy, I know. But man, do I envy them. I was so much happier before I knew.
Same. Had I stuck to my lane of just playing video games online, playing, Warcraft 3 on Battle.net, playing World of Warcraft, just minding my own business. But then somebody shows this juicy fruit in front of me, and I decide to take a bite, and then all of a sudden, I know. And I hate knowing. It bothers me to know. So I recommend my audience, if you're young, don't bite into the tree. Don't do it. Alright? Unless you're ready for the responsibility. Alright? And like Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. There is a great power that comes with knowing. And if you're not ready to accept the responsibility of that power, please just stay away from it. Be informed, yes, but don't by all means bite into the apple. Because once you know how the sausage is made, you'll never unsee it. I'm just saying.
Sadly, it is getting harder and harder for the average person to not care about politics because politics is seeping into literally everything. Politics will be bending you over and spreading your cheeks and going in dry whether you want it or not. And unfortunately...
Shoo for that. So... man, alright. At least take me out on a date first. Here's the thing. Alright, and this is the reason why I am very much pro gatekeeping. I am pro gatekeeping because if you have a hobby, you do not want those kind of people, the insufferable people who bring politics or shove politics into everything and anything. These are the same people who say all art is political. Really? Really? I remember I saw that post one time, and it had like somewhere over like 25,000 likes. And I posted a picture of Freerin eating a Whopper with the Burger King crown on. And I said, what does this mean? If all art is political, what does this mean? Silence. In fact, I was blocked. I was blocked. Because that right there is a performative statement. No, not all art is politics. Not everything has to be about politics. Gatekeeping is important to keep these people out of the hobbies. All right? Because they're going to end up ruining it and taking up the space and pushing you out. And then once you go and create your own space again, they're going to want to come into your space again. I cannot stress how much I hate how much the anime community has become this shadow of its former self. I blame a lot of things, but I don't have enough time in a video for this video to go and talk about that. But let's keep going.
The people who are like, I just want to be left alone, are the people who are the most fucked by politics. Also, more importantly, Emiru wasn't saying that she doesn't care about politics. She was saying she didn't want to talk about politics. I feel like that is a huge difference. I care a lot about like...
It is a huge difference. It is a huge difference. And here's where I disagree with the framing that if you're an adult, you have to care about politics. No, you have the right to care. You also have the right not to make it your personality. I care about politics, clearly. I'm here talking about it. But I don't expect everyone to operate the same way that I do. And I would never expect that. There's a difference between being an informed voter and turning every entertainment space into a political podium. Civic responsibility is not the same thing as internet performance. You can vote and you can stay informed. You can care privately and still decide my gaming stream is not the place for this. I'm personally exhausted by celebrities feeling the need to issue statements on everything. Not because they're not allowed to, but because it has become a constant performative thing. It's part of the culture now. Everything is theater. And look, here's how I personally handle it. You don't have to handle it this way, but I know that this is how I handle it. I treat politics the way I treat religion. It's personal. I don't owe strangers a declaration, and I don't owe the internet a sermon. If Emiru wants to cosplay, play games, react to memes, and stay out of the political drama, that is completely valid. It's her stream. What she shouldn't have to do is just pass a purity test just to be left alone. Because once you start enforcing purity tests, the standard never stops expanding.
Because they don't give a shit. They're here to watch me say feminism is doo-doo and make silly little faces at the camera. Yeah, you like that shit? I hate when grown women don't have a mind of their own.
I mean,
you are 28 years old.
She's not wrong. I mean, I don't know about the cute face thing, but definitely feminism is doo-doo, right? Yeah. I'm going off script here.
Please develop a mind of your own. All she does is pander to anime gooner men. No mind of her own. I never liked Emiru, so finding out she's stupid and doesn't have a mind of her own is nice. The audacity! If she didn't have a mind of her own, she would have mindlessly parroted the shit you wanted to say.
That right there I agree with. Because this part actually really bothers me. Because you're calling Emiru a pick-me for not having an opinion. The moment, and I've seen this happen quite often, the moment a woman expresses an opinion that falls outside the dominant ideological script, she gets labeled a pick-me. I've seen it happen to women on the left. I've seen it happen to women on the right. I've even seen it happen to women in the center. In the center. And this label is never debated. It's never argued with. It just remains a constant label. And this label implies absolutely insane things like she has no autonomy, or that she's thinking for male validation, or that her views aren't sincere. She's a grifter, which is crazy. That's not an argument. You're just completely dismissing her. And I find it very ironic that the same spaces that emphasize women thinking for themselves will often turn around and invalidate a woman the moment she thinks differently. If independent thought is only respected when it aligns with the approved position, then it's not independence. It's conformity. And once again, we're back to the same pattern. Replace disagreement with character framing, replace argument with slurs, replace persuasion with social punishment. That's not how you change minds. That's how you enforce loyalty. And I'm not going to read the worst of those tweets. I'm not going to amplify that. If you want full context, watch the original video. Link will be in the description. But the larger issue here isn't whether you agree with Emiru. It's whether disagreement or even neutrality gets reframed as a moral defect.
People on Earth, Emiru came out with a statement. Hello, it's very rare I will speak my mind, but I'd rather get my thoughts.
Yeah, this right here made me angry. Not at Emiru, but at the situation. I'll explain why in a second. Just listen to what Emiru has to say.
It's out there, so apologies if this is long.
And also pay attention to the response to what Emiru had to say.
There's a clip from my stream that's been circulating a lot, so I'd like to explain it for anyone who was hurt or shocked by it. It should go without saying that no one deserves to live their life in fear of being killed or taken away from their homes or families, regardless of who is doing it, but especially not because of ICE or any other government agency. I understand the world is a very cruel and messed up place. You don't have to study politics or actively read the news to know that. I would never want to invalidate anyone who struggles with those things, and an agency causing fear and suffering deserves zero support. To me, that's not even political, it's basic human empathy. Now, I thought that statement was perfectly fine. My issue with it is, she didn't have to make it. She was basically forced to come out and say her opinion. So did these freaks finally back off once Emiru made her opinion about ICE clear? No. Of course not. Nazi response. TLDR, go f*** yourself in your PR apology. And there it is. Of fucking course she's another dumb c***. Girl, we are not as dumb as you look. You're still a racist chud, but continue.
And this is what I mean by this is a trap. She apologized, she clarified, she expressed empathy, And what happened? Escalation. Because the apology is not the end goal for these people. It never is in a situation like this. When someone apologizes for something that wasn't wrong, especially under pressure, it's to reinforce the tactics that they use. It teaches the crowd that escalation works. And once the lesson is learned, the standard rises. First, it's say the line. Then, it's clarify harder. Then, after this, we need to see your friends and your background. That's how goalposts get moved. Not because the original issue wasn't addressed, but because the pressure itself became the tool. I'm not going to read the rest. It's just, but the pattern is just very clear. Apologizing under coercion doesn't resolve outrage. Apologizing under coercion doesn't resolve outrage, it validates it. And that's why I don't think she needed to apologize. Not because empathy is wrong, but because declining to perform isn't moral failing. And once you treat it as one, you normalize forced compliance.
God have mercy on your soul. I do not envy you. Once you bend the knee to these people, once you apologize or capitulate, it's over. These people don't actually want an apology. They want to humiliate you. They want to drag you down. At the end of the day, they have found a socially acceptable way to bully people. That's what this is. A lot of people in response to Emiru's statement were like, why did you apologize to the mob? You know, you bent the knee, you're a coward. And honestly, people don't realize how insane it can get. These people, the cult of the Crybully, they come in swarms, they get in your head, they prey on your empathy, they isolate you from your friends, they make you feel like a terrible person for having milquetoast normal ass opinions, or in this case, no opinion. And when you are someone who is not used to dealing with these types of people, or you are someone in like a vulnerable state of mind, it is very easy for these cult-like tactics to work. This shit works especially well with women in particular, not to be sexist, but it's just true. Honestly, you know, now that I think about it, the only people who are immune to this are like autistic people. I swear to God, people on the
Yeah. Point the finger.
spectrum are immune to the Crybully tactics. What happened is Emiru just saw like a shit ton of people who were mad at her, and she wanted to do the correct thing. Unfortunately, this is just gonna make it worse. And they're moving on to one of their favorite tactics.
The big question in everyone's mind is, well, are you still friends with Asmongold?
While it is appreciated that you are taking a stand and clarifying the clip, you do continue to be vague about how deep your associations with Asmon are. So hopefully you've cut ties with that hate-mongering Nazi troll Asmon, right? Glad you made this and owned up to it, but you're still friends with Asmongold, so it doesn't read as earnest. Almost a decent explanation, but the elephant in the room is that your friendship with Asmongold is holding this back from seeming sincere. Okay, now what about your best friend Asmongold? Denounce Asmon or I'm not taking this seriously. You're friends with Assmold. Assmold?
I'm pretty sure she's still friends with Asmongold.
Now what?
Hassan Piker. Okay, so the next part is where the purity spiral becomes obvious. It's no longer about the original statement. It's become something else. Who are you friends with? Who are you associated with? Have you disavowed the correct people? Will you name names? That's social filtering. It's not debate. Once you move from clarify your view to cut off your friends, the standard has shifted. And that's what makes this pattern dangerous. Because now the test isn't about ideas, it's about loyalty. If you only agree with 99% of the group, that remaining 1% has now become a target. And there is no real finish line. First it's say the line, then it's clarify, then denounce, then it's prove it again. That's not accountability. That is purity spiraling. And when social belonging becomes conditional on constant ideological signaling, you create a culture where people comply out of fear, not conviction. That's not healthy for any community. Doesn't matter where you fall on the spectrum.
Whatever you think of Asmongold, he is friends with Emiru. They are friends, even though they disagree with each other. Crazy, right?
I literally said, like, I don't agree with the things he says. Like, what do y'all want me to do? Like, fucking shoot him on stream?
Yes, that is what they want you to do. Yes. Around 2018, I was...
You know, I constantly get reminded about this picture that I have saved. It's from Sam Hyde, and it's a picture that gets circulated quite often. I have it on my desktop, and I sometimes think about it too. You know, so when we win, do not forget that these people wanted you broke, they wanted you dead, they wanted your kids raped and brainwashed, and they think it's funny. This quote has hit hard on so many levels, especially me being the individual that I am personally. You know, there is a difference between me, what you see on stream, and what you see outside of stream, right? And I can't help but to think, like, if these individuals ever came after, like, I know how some people think about me. It's very clear. And you know, it's well, let's shoot, say her piece, and then we'll talk mine.
Facing nearly daily harassment for being friends with someone who was on the right. Hundreds of people were on my ass like every day. They were calling my job. They got emails of my family members. It was like non-stop. Now, this person was a good friend of mine, but in order to get all these people off my back, I did probably the cringiest thing ever, and I publicly disavowed her. Publicly disavowed a friend of mine over political differences. Now, for those of you who are new here, that sounds like something I would never do, but I did it. I bent the knee to a faceless mob of people who hate me. And in return, I received nothing. The harassment didn't stop, the hate didn't stop. Well, needless to say, karma is real, and the same thing happened to me years later. I was publicly disavowed by friends over political differences. This story ultimately does have a good ending. Me and my friend from 2018, we made up years ago, but looking back on all this in 2026 is extremely embarrassing. And if I knew what I knew now, I would have just told those people to go fuck themselves. But in the moment, it's incredibly stressful, and you just kind of want it all to stop. And you will do whatever you can to make it stop. So I understand why Emiru came out and made a statement. I just really hope she doesn't wind up disavowing friends over political differences like I did. It was a huge mistake, and it is not worth it, because you are going to find yourself surrounded by people who see you as a temporary ally and not a real friend. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a never apologize person. You should apologize if you actually do something wrong, if you actually wronged someone, but you shouldn't apologize to like a nebulous, faceless mob of people while facing down a barrel of a gun. There is nothing that she could say and no amount of money she could donate that could convince me she's not a soulless ghoul like all the men she's happily surrounded herself with for years. There is nothing you can ever do to please these people, so why bother? They will not be happy until you kill yourself, and even then they will dance on your grave. And I know, like, with everything going on right now, like, is this really a video about cancel culture in 2020?
You know, I really respect Shu for sharing her story. I do. And she admitted that she complied, and she admitted that it didn't work. You know, apologizing when you've wronged someone is okay. When you've actually wronged someone. Not when the faceless crowd shines a spotlight on you and demands that you apologize. I've experienced something similar. I had a really close friend when I entered college. We were ideologically we were different, but I really didn't know I didn't want anyone to know my true politics, because I had shifted a great deal. I used to be a very far left extremist, and as I got older and I got, getting close to getting married and stuff like that, my views began to shift a little bit more towards the center, and then of course to the right. But I didn't want anyone to really know what my true politics were, so I was really good at hiding it. occasionally it would come out, or I would joke about it. And eventually I just became the norm. And I became the token conservative of my little friend group that I used to have. And it didn't bother me. I kind of liked it. You know? Politics never really defined my friendships, though. You know, I never really let that happen as I got older. I've always believed that you can disagree deeply and still respect someone. But one day, that wasn't enough. I get a phone call. Well, I sent a couple of text messages to a friend. He doesn't respond, and I eventually texted another person in our friend group, and he pretty much told me he doesn't want nothing to do with you. And I was kind of shocked by this. And I said, why? And it had something to do with a joke that I had made, prior into the group chat, and I felt like I needed to apologize. I was like, well, I didn't know that was going on, so I need to apologize. I text messaged him, and then eventually got a hold of him on Facebook Messenger, and I said, hey man, look, I'm terribly sorry if I pissed you off with the joke that I said. I just, I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were going through something very hairy, and my joke was a little insensitive, and I didn't know. I'm sorry. I was just trying to be as empathetic as possible. And my friend here, who we had been through a lot in terms of life, just said, I want nothing to do with you, you evil, evil person. And at first I thought he was joking. I was like, evil? Like, I did schedule on eating babies, a little bit towards the evening, but I can cancel that if you're going to say that to me. And, he just eventually told me, he's like, look, I cannot associate with you because I don't wish any ill feelings on your wife. I don't wish any ill feelings on your daughter. But when it comes to you, if something was to happen to you, I think I'd be probably the happiest person around, because you are just as evil as that politician you voted for. And I said, wow, I didn't know you felt that way. And, I tried to reason with him, and I said, like, hey, look, it's me, I'm not that person, but no, he didn't want to hear it, and we just stopped being friends, and it stuck with me. I've let it go for a while now, and I hope he's doing well. I hear he's happier, and but it's just the fact that politics became his personality and not mine, and he just couldn't disconnect. I saw what political tribalism can do to a person, and I didn't like it. And because when politics become moral identity, disagreement stops being disagreement and it becomes contamination. And once that shift happens, relationships become conditional. That's the danger of purity spirals. When belonging is dependent on ideological alignment, people start making decisions out of fear and not convictions. And that's not healthy for anyone. And that's why bending the knee rarely fixes anything. If it doesn't restore peace, it's just moved the line a little bit further down.
Yeah, I don't know. First of all, you should expect that. You clicked on a shoe on a head video. But second of all, yeah, I feel like this is kind of important to talk about. I feel like this type of thing is part of the reason we are where we are right now. This type of stuff drives people away from the left. And more importantly than that, it's just evil. I saw some leftists covering Emiru being cancelled, and they were like, the cultural shift is here. Woke 2.0, we don't play around, we're mean now. Woke 2.0? Because woke 1.0 worked out so well for you guys in the country, right? You're supposed to learn from your mistakes, not double down and get worse. I don't know how you can look at the last 10 years and be like, we have got to get more annoying. Like, what are you doing? Attacking normie streamers for not wanting to be involved in political discourse? Also, I feel like this goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm not smearing, like, the left as a whole, okay? This isn't fucking Fox News. This isn't the Nuxanor channel. I'm well aware there are plenty of left-wing people, especially in my audience, who feel the same way I do. I'm talking about a certain faction of the mostly online left. I was about to say it's like a loud minority, but I don't even think it's a minority anymore. I think it's like a majority. Like, I feel like I'm one of the only ones, like, holding down the fort. Like, me and Anna Kasparian. And every day I'm called a right-wing grifter for being like, hey, maybe we can focus on the issues that, like, actually affect the working class. You know, things that actually help people, not stupid fucking shit like going after e-girl cosplay streamers. Like, can we just get back to the fact that we are all being ruled by satanic billionaire pedophiles who may or may not be eating children, please? Thank you. In conclusion, Emiru...
Oh, man, that Alex Jones rant at the end, just chef's kiss. It was funny, but underneath the humor, there's something real there. There is a faction of online politics that seem determined to double down and reflect, and instead reflect. I don't think that's healthy. And I don't think it's healthy for anyone on the left or on the right. And if you're trying to build something long-term in the political sphere, it's definitely not good to be unreflective. I don't believe this represents the entire left, like she said. I know people on the left personally as well who I can sit down with, I can disagree with, and still respect them. I don't feel threatened by them. And I hope they don't feel threatened by me. I mean, look at me. Yeah, look at me. But when politics turns into purity tests, when silence becomes compliance, when friendships become conditional, that's when things get coercive. But when politics turn into purity tests, when silence becomes compliance, and when friendships become conditional, that's when things get corrosive. I'm not here to join a team. I'm not here to enforce loyalty. I'm here to say this. If someone doesn't want to turn their stream into a political podium, that's their boundary. And boundaries should be respected. Apologize when you've actually wronged someone, not when the loudest voices demand performance. Protect your friendships, protect your autonomy, protect your ability to disagree without being exiled, because once disagreement becomes disqualifying, everyone loses. And that's not a world I'm interested in building.
Did nothing wrong. People are tired of having politics shoved down their throat, and you don't need to speak about things you don't want to speak about. You don't have to do that. You don't have to say the line, actually. This is mass psychosis, rivaling on 2020. These people are trying to socially ostracize this woman for not putting, like, a black square on her Instagram. They're just mad at Emiru for not doing, like, the ice bucket challenge or some shit. Like, that's basically what is happening here. If you are going to streamers for political information, you are cooked. If you are going to shoe on head for political information, you are deep fried. So that was that little video. If you liked my yapping, please
thumbs up. Alright, thumbs up the video. That was just me being performative because I didn't thumb up her video the first time. I just wanted people to see that I was going to do it this time, because I do like Shu's content. I really do. There are things that I disagree with from a ideological standpoint. Now, watching the ending, I kind of wish I could sound that adorable at the end of my videos. Well done. And all I'll say is this. There were earlier drafts of this script that were far more combative. Especially when Denims and Hassan Piker showed their faces. And that's usually my default when I'm reacting off the cuff. But I took the time to revise this one because the topic deserves clarity more than heat. So I'll leave you with these 3 takeaways. 1, Don't ever think that you owe the internet a political performance. It doesn't matter if you're a gamer, a VTuber, or a cosplayer, or just some random person online. You are not required to turn your platform into a podium. Number 2, silence does not equal guilt. You are allowed to think, you are allowed to pause, and you are allowed to decline participation. Not responding on command is not a moral failure. And 3, probably the most important, if your activism requires coercion, it's failing. If it depends on forcing compliance, it's not persuasion, it's pressure. That's it. And protect your boundaries, protect your friendships, and don't let the loudest voices online convince you that performance equals virtue. And I'm going to borrow this line from Shu. If you're getting your politics from streamers, you are absolutely cooked. And if you're getting your politics from me, you're not only deep fried, but you are smothered in gravy. I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves and each other. God bless.